I was just
Think out
agreeing
loud.
with what you were saying. I was agreeing with what you were saying.
We have a concurrence, ladies and gentlemen. He has,
Finally.
he has given me the approval that something I said is right enough for him to agree
You
with.
are allowed. Continue. None of that'll be in the
Uh,
episode.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Are they in the proper approach pattern for today?
Negative.
Hold the weapon! Now! Charge the lightning field.
Welcome back to Dispatch Ajax. This is Jake.
I'm Skip.
Now, animal companions often serve as moral guides or helping the protagonist navigate through complex ethical problems and conundrums. They can often represent the protagonist's better nature or intuitive wisdom, providing guidance when rational thought does not rule out.
On a basic fundamental modernist level, we're talking about like Jiminy Cricket or the owl in The Sword and the Stone.
Yes, the animal as wise guide.
Right. The animal as stand-in for guardian angel / fairy godmother /
Wizened wizard.
right, or whatever meta-human, stand-in. Yeah.
Yeah. These representations of animals providing wisdom and guidance that often reflects the real world psychological phenomena where pets can serve as emotional anchors and moral compasses for their human companions. Especially, a lot of stories in a younger audience and character, like what is the right and wrong way to go about living in this world. Now, again, there are many types of animal companions in literature, especially fantasy and science fiction. You have a familiar or animal companions with magical bonds. In a modern context, J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, where there are magical companions that help to enhance a witch or wizard's abilities. Again, this harkens back to historical concepts of familiar spirits. You saw a lot of that in ancient thoughts about witchcraft and whatnot. Utilized the connection on a magical level with these animals to help utilize your magics and knowledge of the spiritual world.
I would like to expand on that just a little bit before we get to the magics. The idea that animals, especially in fictional narratives, they represent oftentimes the moral or ethical representation of the natural world. And I feel like that stems from, especially since the Industrial Revolution, this idea that humanity's fucking it up, that we're ruining the natural world. And that these companions, these sentient companions that can communicate with us, that can give us guidance, they represent the natural order. And they're more like an angel on our shoulder saying, hey, you need to get back to the natural state of things. Your manipulation or exploitation, more accurately, of the natural world is what's causing the problems that you have today. The more you do this, the worse it gets. I keep thinking about Fern Gully.
I think the perfect example of this would be Princess Mononoke,
Sure.
where you have Moro the Oni wolf, who is the intelligent wolf goddess, acts as a guardian of the forest, and is propelling the female human character to rebel against the oncoming technological revolution that is destroying the forest and our natural world.
Interestingly enough, in a completely different way, parallel to things in sci-fi and fantasy, the sort of phenomenon we've talked about before with The Day the Earth Stood Still, where this outside thing comes down and tells us we're doing it wrong. In that sense, it's an alien presence, but oftentimes in a pre-understanding of the universe at large, representations of nature in the form of animal companions doing the same thing. I don't think those are unrelated. They're different, and that's worthy of a different conversation, but I think they're relatively similar, and we need a guide to be able to tell us when we're doing it and when we're not.
Yeah. I think that's a worthy trope that often comes about within animal companionship narratives. That kind of it stems from a deeper kind of base level understanding between man and animal and the natural world, and how we are definitely like disconnected to a detrimental level.
In this context, especially because we have interrupted the natural order, we have bred these animals, we have, quote, tamed specific species to bend to our will. And it's almost like a reflection on, did we do that for the right reasons? Is that the right thing to do? Are we doing these things the right way? Are we now completely disconnected from the natural world altogether? This is something I'm sure we'll get into at the end, but the idea that we treat dogs one way, but pigs, for instance, are smarter than dogs. And why do we treat them differently? It's obviously because of the traits early on in our evolution and the way that we bred them, that they helped us hunt and their loyalty and what have you. But what are the demarcation lines between pets and cattle?
Yeah.
What are the arbitrary reasons as a society? We all love our pets. We have laws where you can't abuse a pet, but you can slaughter a pig. They're pack animals. They behave the same. What's the difference? Maybe this is how we touch on it, and we can move on. That's one of the reasons we do the show, so that we can let the audience bring up these questions. Let's pretend that's the thing now.
Okay. We talked a little bit about magical bonds, the familiars of animal companions. I think there's also further bonded companions or soul-linked animals. Think of something like the direwolves of the Stark children in A Song of Ice and Fire, where they reflect their human companions' personalities and serve both as protectors and extensions of themselves, to the point where some of the Stark can see through the eyes of their wolf companions.
Sometimes crows.
I think that's a different thing. Plus, the crows are not the companions of the seer or the old crow. I forget. It's been a while since I've read those books.
Yeah. The crows are not what they seem, is what you're saying.
Birds aren't real.
Oh, come on.
You also have the Dragon Riders of Pern series by Anne McCaffrey. This is where you have dragons form telepathic bond with the riders at hatching and create lifelong partnerships. So intimate that a dragon will commit suicide if its rider dies.
That's also in Game of Thrones and Dragonheart.
It is, but you don't have in that one there's a specific telepathic connection.
Right.
But again, there's not singular examples. These are tropes that persist.
And these are classic fantasy tropes, especially.
Exactly. And again, with Dragon Riders of Pern series, there's definitely an exploration of themes of mutual dependence between human and animal companion, of unconditional love and particular sacrifice in those extreme instances. And then you get the kind of almost the furthest away from the traditional animal companion example, and that would be talking animals or sentient companions. Chronicles of Narnia, you have many of these. These are fully sentient beings with their own societies and moral codes, less related to pet animal human dynamic, where there's less extensions of human characters and more their own things in and of themselves. Something slightly different that I spoke about previously is Pullman's daemons, which represent a unique variation on this particular theme. The demons can speak and possess human-level intelligence, but they are fundamentally extensions of their humans rather than independent beings, though they can act independently. But there's a true soul bond. They are parts of themselves, even though they are separate in and of themselves. At least within those stories, it allows for a complex internal dialogue made external and particular lines of demarcation for character development, and especially within that series from a child becoming an adult and what that means for both them and their daemon. Now, as fantasy literature evolves continuously, so do the portrayals of animal companions. Contemporary authors are exploring increasingly complex and nuanced relationships between humans and their animal partners. This reflects a growing understanding of the emotional capacity and the cognitive abilities of the animals that we interact with on a daily basis. Whether they are familiars, soul-bonded partners, or talking companions, these animal characters enrich the narrative and provide unique perspectives, emotional depth, and possibilities of magical instances that purely human characters, like a Dr. Watson, simply cannot. Now, the impetus for this exploration was Supergirl, and I was trying to decipher who the ultimate sci-fi fantasy pet companion is. During my research for this, it's kind of I was trying to really rack my brain and think of all of the different pet companions. A lot of the animal companions that were listed, different listicles and websites and blog entries, I don't think fit this at all.
Mm.
They are often misrepresented the relationships, the animals, and the protagonist. So something like Babe was put on there as an animal companion, which he most certainly is not.
No, he's not.
He is solely the protagonist. If anything, he has a human companion
Yeah, in
of
James
a
Cromwell.
fashion. Yeah, he's not.
Also,
I don't think he's providing anything for Babe in that sense. I think Scooby-Doo, who's the literal titular protagonist of Scooby-Doo's story,
kind of.
he is not an animal companion of the mystery gang.
I think he is a companion animal, weirdly, because it's about the human group solving mysteries. He has almost nothing to do with it.
From my remembrance of a Scooby-Doo story, you're following Scooby and Shaggy, and then they are your emotional core. And we are feeling the story through their eyes, and then you have the other three who are actually solving the mystery, but it's more about the experience of Scooby and Shaggy.
Interesting. That's a weird example, too, because Scooby and Shaggy are companions. Who is which role, I'm not sure. But they almost have nothing to do with the actual mystery other than they're the bumbling ones that stumble across the thing.
Yeah.
They're along for the ride, and then they reveal it accidentally because of their bumbling nature.
Exactly. There are also some of the few examples of truly cowardly protagonists, which you don't
Okay.
often get.
True.
Scooby most certainly isn't an animal companion in the way that Lassie is.
No, he can talk.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's a big problem there. I think similarly, Garfield is certainly not a pet companion.
Okay.
He has
yeah.
nothing to do with being a pet. I don't know why you'd even put him on a list like that.
Garfield and Scooby are interesting examples because I think the narrative structure that works with Garfield is because cats are so independent. Dogs, however, are different. They're way more dependent. I feel like with Garfield or Heathcliff or what have you, specifically Garfield, it's highlighting the independent nature of cats as pets. The idea that domesticated cats are pets, yes, but not in the way that dogs are, in that they don't necessarily function as a utility for our survival or usage of what pets are. Garfield is sort of like emblematic of the idea that cats, no matter how we domesticate them, are still going to be independent, are still going to do their own thing. The fact that Garfield doesn't come across as a pet, I think is one of the reasons that that cartoon works universally. Say what you will, Jim Davis did totally understand what cats are. They don't give a shit about you. Doesn't give a shit about John. Definitely doesn't give a shit about Odie. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hates Nermal, though they are domesticated pets. I think that's a different kind of narrative that's interesting to explore.
Yeah, I just don't think it fits in the quote-unquote animal companion thesis that we're working from.
If anything, Odie and John are Garfield's companions.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think that's because the nature of companionship when it comes to animal companionship is mostly relegated to dogs in the Western world.
There are cat companions that I think work on this,
Sure.
like a Luna from Sailor Moon, Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service.
Sure, but those are mostly familiars. They have, what do they say in Constantine? I love cats. They have one foot in either world.
Yeah.
It's an interesting debate to have.
There's a certain complexity that is brought into the scene when a cat is present, as opposed to a dog or a wolf or some canine.
Or even fox, which are cat dogs.
That's a whole nother thing.
Even though foxes were domesticated just as early as, which is what I was saying, that foxes were domesticated just as early as dogs were. It's just they were less reliable because of their independent nature, like cats.
I think another grouping that I saw that I don't think works are what I'd call the anthropomorphic magical cat example. This would be Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes or Tigger. These do not fit a master pet or even an animal companion relationship.
No, they're more in the Alice in Wonderland Mad Hatter type, where they're elements of nature of a different world or of the world that we inhabit that has knowledge that is sort of unseen or unrecognized by the human protagonist or the stand-in human protagonist in the case of Winnie the Pooh. Which is also a weird one to get into because Christopher Robin is the human character, and so where does that factor in?
Christopher Robin is almost never really involved in the story either.
No, not
He's
really.
more of our doorway to this other world where these other animals, who are all anthropomorphic and talk and have their own society that they interact with, has nothing to do with Christopher Robin.
Well, it's the same thing with Dorothy, or if any of you out there have ever read the Oz books, Tip, the little boy that everyone forgets about. It totally exists. He was in the Wonderful World of Oz, I think. Dorothy isn't always there, but the idea that those animals around him are not companions, they're metaphorical representations of different parts of human society and how they parallel to what we think of in the West, at least, as part of the natural world or society. Let's just say society. Tigger is a great example of that. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think that's a larger thesis.
Well, that's why we do this, bitch! Come on!
I know, I think Skip, do you have any examples of an animal, what you think the best animal pet companion in sci-fi fantasy?
Sure, okay. We've established the pet companion archetype. And I know it's been a weird road around it, but it is a subservient that is wise beyond what you think its capabilities are, that is also pure in the fact that it is part of nature.
I don't think it has to. I don't think. Well, I guess it's debatable on that point in a particular example that you would probably be interested in talking about.
Which is?
Canine.
Canine is a great example of this that we're talking about today. I think he's perfect for this. He's loyal, wise, informative, often a MacGuffin to get you out of scrapes. A sympathetic and empathetic character that if something happened to him, you'd really be sad, which happens in old Doctor Who. He's a companion. Companions are different in Doctor Who than they are in other things.
Are the humans almost the animal companions to the Doctor?
Or are they dancers? I think Canine is different. He does have companions, and Canine is a companion, but a different type of companion. He's a pet companion. To what you were saying earlier, think about Clash of the Titans with the owl. Is it Bubo? Is that his name?
Yeah, Bubo. That's yeah. You got it. You got it in one.
He's a little like that, where he's sort of outside of, like, his intelligence and his wisdom and the things that he brings to the protagonist are outside of the knowledge and whatever wisdom the protagonist has. He can get him out of scrapes because he has knowledge that are different, and yet he's subservient.
Right. One reason why Bubo I have some pushback is I don't think there's much emotional connection or resonance.
That's true.
Yeah, he's like a literal machine that is given to and utilized by the main character.
Well, so is Canine.
Doctor Who loves Canine.
True.
Nobody really cares. I mean, Bubo's cute, but it's not the same connection with Canine or Gizmo from Gremlins.
The whole Gremlins thing is that's a completely different type of creature.
Yeah, no, this is what we call a transition.
Okay, go for it.
Tell me, what is it about Gizmo that you don't think fits the animal companion archetype as well?
Gizmo, if treated poorly or in the wrong ways, becomes an unruly monster, which I do believe is a metaphor for pets in general.
Mm-hmm.
If you beat your dog, or if you don't treat your dog well, it'll become a bad thing. The whole idea that there are no bad pets, there are bad owners.
Yeah.
But this is said in ritual.
It's a parable with dogmatic processes. It makes it easier for the metaphor, especially for a young audience.
Okay, don't do this, and he won't be evil.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
You treat your pet well, you do right by the pet, and in turn is a good companion. That's a tough one. I'm not really sure.
It is tough. What about Abu, the monkey from Aladdin?
I know, from Aladdin. Abu is a classic representation of a companion animal who has agency and yet is not fully realized as having agency without the protagonist, which I think is a big thing in these archetypes, right?
I think there needs to be an intrinsic bond of necessity and of love. They must want and need each other.
His function doesn't exist without the story structure of Aladdin. You can have a side quest, a couple of like shorts or like a little sub game or whatever. You can't have a heroic epic starring Abu.
Now, I think one thing intrinsic to Abu is that he is a dissenting voice for a lot of the things that Aladdin is doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's pointing out things that Aladdin is not seeing or not understanding.
Right.
He serves as that natural guiding force for the character.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier, just like with a lot of other of these characters, he's the one from nature who comes in, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm. Gromit from Wallace and Gromit?
It's playing on the Shaggy and Scooby archetype, which is playing on, obviously, older archetypes. The Son of Sam thing, where he was talking about Davy and Goliath. That points... Okay. So that's interesting.
All right. Okay, fuck it. All right.
The companion pet character sometimes is the guiding force, the wise, godlike force that is showing the path that the character should take. It's a dog that is, for some reason, really well versed in the Bible, who can talk, guides this young boy into doing moral and ethical things within the framework of the Christian Bible.
What if we gave all dogs the ability to speak and all they started doing was quoting Bible verses that they just naturally knew?
Then we would stop having dogs. That's what would happen. I mean, let's be honest.
Shut
That's exactly.
the fuck up, Rover.
Yeah, I know it's not my wife. Shut the fuck up. Yes, I know about the money changers. I still use banks.
Skip, have you stoned your wife yet?
Did you grow your hair beyond your temples?
You're not supposed to plant two different crops.
You must cleanse the streets, Davy.
With the sunshine on a dog's ass or something or another?
What is Bubo's function? I don't really understand. What is Bubo's function?
I mean, if you want a literal plot device, that's what Bubo is.
Does he advance the plot?
He does. He helps him get out of particular hairy situations.
You're right. He's a character that is essentially the same thing as the sword or the shield that he's given, but he has character. That's kind of the only difference, which makes him not really a pet or companion.
No, I mean, the only reason we're classifying them, even in that, is because he is shaped like an owl.
Right.
If he was just a metal orb, he would be doing the exact same thing, but because he's personified as an actual animal, he's drawn into this conversation. I don't think Stitch from Lilo and Stitch quite fits that, but is on those lines.
Okay, there are several examples of feature, like a guy, I don't know, like some Jack London shit where they befriend a wolf or whatever, and then you slowly develop that kinship with that animal that becomes the companion pet.
I think there's a certain naturalistic element that we talked about before that possibly comes into play. Do you have one that sticks out in your mind? Because as I was going through these different examples, Pikachu, Toothless from the dragon stuff, Snoopy I thought was a bad example.
Yeah, Snoopy is a weird one.
Yeah, Snoopy's weird. Snoopy is more akin to a Garfield.
Even weirder than Garfield.
Odd. There's such an evolution of Pluto that makes it amorphous.
Well, and Pluto is a subservient dog pet to a dog man. What is that? I don't understand that relationship at all.
Isn't Pluto Mickey's dog?
Sure, but he's friends with Goofy, who's a dog.
Are they friends? Maybe. Have we seen them interact? I really don't know. Is this where we bring Lockjaw into it again?
Lockjaw. He could take me to the moon any day.
I bet he could. But to wrap it up, I also don't think Pluto's that great of an example in general. I don't think Pluto provides a whole lot. The ones that actually kind of came to mind were Clifford, the big red dog, and
Interesting.
Crypto.
I think Crypto's a great example. And
Crypto is a great. I kind of like came to this with the thesis, yeah, crypto's good, but there's something better out there. And obviously, there's a wide swath of science fiction fantasy that we're not getting into.
yep.
One of the reasons this came up, and there's so much out there, and so many people write animal companions into fantasy that I'm sure I'd love. Please send in your favorite example.
Yeah, please.
There are billions. There's plenty that are fantastic, but I think on the grander scale of visibility and recognized examples, I think crypto is pretty high up there.
Which is funny because until James Gunn did that, most people didn't know Crypto existed. That's kind of a 50s Superman thing. 50s and the 60s, and then he showed up again in the 80s after Crisis on Infinite Earths.
There's been a lot of crypto in the past, 30 years.
Well, yeah, the last 30 years, we're old now.
Trust me, I'm well aware.
We'd like to give shouts out to Beppo, the super monkey, Comet, the super horse,
Yawn,
Streaky, the super cat.
meow.
End of list. That was all off the top of my head.
Yeah, and we're not getting to Ace the Bat Hound or the Bat Cow or any
I was gonna mention Ace the Bat
I
Hound.
knew you would. And I'm DC had its own Animal Companions series where they joined up, went on their, they've had plenty of that. But Crypto interacts with humans in the comics. Ace the Bat Hound, other than
He's just a dog.
stuff from the 50s or whatever. I mean, a dog can, just because Crypto's a super dog.
It raises a lot of questions, but
I think he has an emotional resonance to Clark or Kal-El that
or Kara.
Ace doesn't have to Bruce.
He's definitely been around longer than Ace, but he's also used more than Ace.
You know that Crypto was only around for 2 months before Ace?
Really.
Not a big gap there.
And we're gonna repeat ourselves yet again, but after the seduction of the innocent debacle, that's when DC started inserting these kinds of things, these kid-friendly things into comic books. To your point, Crypto is much more of an active character, relatively recognizable now thanks to James Gunn, but he does represent something in all of us that we all yearn for these kinds of companions, and we all want something that loves us unconditionally and that makes us feel like we matter to something. And Crypto represents it, I think, extremely well. So does K9. They love us unconditionally, and we love them just the same, unless you're an asshole.
And well said. I think Crypto would say that is a super response.
And then for some reason, Heat Vision, it didn't understand.
Hey, no bad dogs, right? Yeah. Hopefully you've enjoyed being our pod companion on this particular episode.
You avoided saying pet, and I appreciate that. It's a little off-putting.
We'll keep the pet play for later, loyal podcast listeners.
How do furries enter into this?
That's a whole nother episode, folks. But until we get to our truly furry companions, we'd like to thank you for going on this journey with us. If you wouldn't mind, share, and subscribing. It's the best way for us to get heard and thus seen. If you wouldn't mind rating us 5 super pets of your own on the podcast app of your choice, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you for going on this leashed walk auditorily down the path of life and understanding that this podcast most certainly is not, but likes to pretend that it is. But shit, I lost it. Yep.
There it is.
But until next time, gentle listeners, Skip has some wise companion words for you.
Wow, okay. Dumping that on me. All right, so if you want to adopt a pet, please go to your local shelters because there are way too many animals out there who don't have homes. please make sure that you have paid your tabs, that you've cleaned up after yourself to some sort of reasonable degree. Make sure you have tipped your bar staff, your wait staff, your podcasters, your KJs, your DJs. Make sure that you support your local comic shops and retailers. And we would like to say from Dispatch Ajax, remember, no matter where you go, there you are.
Please, go away.
End of part 1.